everyone, and welcome to Businesses Ending Slavery and Human Trafficking Virtual Lunch and Learn. My name is Minarik, and I currently serve on the board of Businesses Ending Slavery and Trafficking, also known as BEST. Today, we are excited to talk about the poverty. Today's topic is poverty, the worst trafficker. I want to thank you guys all for joining and taking time out of your schedules to learn more about this very important topic. Today, you will learn about the many factors and inequalities that help fuel this horrific exploitation of our most vulnerable. Here at BEST, we believe in a world where everyone is free from exploitation. BEST's mission is to end human trafficking through training, education, and awareness. We also work with survivors to rebuild their lives through safe and stable employment opportunities. This has never been more important given the current environment. The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all of us in various ways. It has changed how we work, how we cope, how we socialize, and how we celebrate. But for many individuals, it has pushed them into even more impossible circumstances, making them at greater risk of being trafficked. The quarantine has also sent us home, but there's many individuals that don't have home, or their home's not safe, so they flee to the streets for safety. In Seattle area, there's around 500 to 700 youth currently receiving services for trafficking. 46% of these youth reported living on the streets, in homeless shelters, or in motels. This data point was collected prior to the pandemic, so we expect that has increased since then. In a few moments, we're going to be joined by survivor expert and advocate Liletha Williams. She's going to share her story and how poverty played a role in her exploitation. We also be joined by Brettmann, who is exec director of BEST. She'll be leading today's discussion and also sharing how you can make an impact. Throughout today's discussion, I encourage you guys to post any comments or questions in the chat box for Mar and Liletha. You also have the opportunity to help fuel solutions today. Today through May 5th, any donations that are given to BEST will be doubled thanks to a very generous matching pool. And any donations over $100 will be tripled. So there's no better time to make a donation and have your donation maximized to this level. You can make a donation at bestalliance.org. We've also put it in the chat box. And just want to thank you again for your incredible generosity, for joining us today, for your passion and interest. And now I would like to introduce you to Brettmann, Exec Director at BEST.
Hey there. Thank you so much, Megan, for that great introduction. And I am thrilled to be here today. We had an amazing response to this invitation. And so we had over 300 people who want to join us. And I hope that many of you are able to, and if not, then you're always welcome to watch. People are welcome to watch this, send this to people so they can watch it after we're finished. So thank you again for being here. As Megan said, if you have questions related to this issue, related to either human trafficking or the intersections of human trafficking and poverty, then please go ahead and put those in the comments, and I will make sure that those that we can address as many of those as we can. And before we get started, in case you're new to our Lunch and Learns or new to BEST, I wanted to just give a very brief overview about who we are as an organization, why we exist, and kind of what we do. So BEST was started almost 10 years ago. There was a local foundation in our area who said, okay, you know what, our law enforcement officers are doing really good work recovering victims, and our victim service providers are doing really good work being able to help victims recover and rebuild their lives after they've experienced this terrible exploitation. But the foundation was asking, but how do we prevent this exploitation from happening in the first place, right? We never want to see a child or a vulnerable person treated in this way. And so how do we prevent it? And the experts at the table said, we need businesses at the tables of all these conversations we're having as a community, because unfortunately, these crimes are often happening in businesses, and employees are seeing these crimes happen, and they don't know what they're seeing, and they don't understand what they can do to respond to this terrible crime that's happening in the community. So how do we bring businesses to the table was the question they had. And so I got excited about that question. I thought I could help do something like that. I could start a little project. And my background is in higher ed and human rights research and teaching. And so I just started working with this team and looking at how we could bring businesses to the table. And BEST was started out of that early conversation we had around prevention. And I was honored to be able to be the founding director of BEST, to be able to bring businesses and the resources that businesses have to offer to survivors of trafficking to the table. So we do a few things. We do a lot of employee training. That is a big emphasis of ours. We do a lot of awareness raising, like we're doing today, about the issue. And we also have an employment program so that businesses can do the full circle, the full suite of prevention efforts. Right, they can train their staff. I saw that Commissioner Bowman is on this call right now. We worked with the Port of Seattle, for example. The Port of Seattle has trained more than 80% of all of their employees to recognize the signs of trafficking and be able to step in and assist. We were just chatting with another airport we worked with. They had 3 cases that their employees have been able to identify in the last few months after receiving this training. And 2 of them led to pretty big, pretty substantial investigations. So this training is so important to be able to do. And so we do training across industries, rideshare, hotels, you name it, anybody who's on the front lines and may be able to assist a victim. That's who we want to provide training to. And then we love helping survivors rebuild their lives. So I'll just give you one quick example, and then we're going to get to hear from Liletha. But one young person, Tina, she had been trafficked. She'd experienced trafficking for 7 years, and she was ready to, she was looking to get out. She was looking to get employed. So she had no work history. So we were able to provide her a paid internship where we paid the cost of the internship. She went and worked for an employer. She did an outstanding job, right? She got great reviews from her manager, and then she earned her place at the table for the full-time job that she was able to get out of that. And so all we want to do is just give people that leg up, just help them to open those doors, to open that access so that they can then prove themselves and show what fantastic employees they're going to be. And she was unhoused when we met her. She now has her own apartment, and she's now in full-time employment. So this is just the little bit that BEST can do to work alongside people who are hungry to rebuild their lives, and just give them those little opportunities that they need in order to do that. So we could not do this without your generous donations. So we are so grateful to so many of our donors who've been able to support us in this work. Again, the Port of Seattle supporting our employment program. Stolen Youth and SAFE are 2 local foundations that have been incredible in helping us to create these programs and build these programs. And then our individual donors enable us to continue this work. So our hope is to give back to you, many of our donors, so that you can learn more about this issue and what you can do, the difference that you can make in the community on this issue. So now it is time for me to introduce my dear friend, Liletha. Liletha is a well-respected survivor expert in our region. She grew up here in King County, Washington, and she now invests, her full-time job is investing back in the community, supporting vulnerable people across our community. So welcome, and thank you for joining us, Liletha.
Hello, how you doing?
So good to see you. And it is a surprisingly sunny day in Seattle.
It is
So,
sunny.
yeah.
It is a sunny day.
So Liletha, you were the one who first said to me when we were chatting one day, you said poverty was the biggest pimp there ever was. I quoted you repeatedly on that because you're the queen of quotables, I think. And so I'm just wondering, can you unpack that for us? Can you help us understand why you see poverty as the biggest pimp there ever was?
Well, there's many factors that contribute to a person being trafficked. There's different scenarios where people are being trafficked, but to have a person that doesn't have their basic needs met and doesn't have a safe place to go ask for help, that makes them quite ripe pickings, you might say, for the opportunity of being trafficked. Are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah. And that's really it in a nutshell. If somebody's hungry, if they don't have a place to stay, a lot of times, especially for the youth, you were just talking about the youth oftentimes are manipulated into sex or whatever, being trafficked for survival, for a place to stay, for a place that's away from the elements, for a meal, for some clothes, for a phone, for their nails to get done. Oftentimes the grooming starts like that, out of a need that they don't have fulfilled, right? So poverty, not having access to basic needs, it just sets them up. Doesn't matter how old you are. They could be 10 or 90 if that was the opportunity. Poverty affects all age groups, and being affected by poverty, especially in particular communities that are already at a disadvantage for multiple reasons, that just adds another factor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So with the pandemic, we've really seen this increase in poverty and an increase in sex trafficking. In fact, I just did a presentation earlier today with the Hotel Association of New York City, and a panelist on that said she directly serves survivors of trafficking. She said her organization has seen a 45% increase in adults seeking services and a 35% increase in children seeking services as a result of COVID. So can you know, and then another stat is that the National Center for Missing and Exploited Youth or Missing and Exploited Children reported a 93% increase in reports of online enticement during the pandemic. That was from January to June 2020 as compared with that time period a year earlier. So Liletha, can you tell us some stories about what you're seeing happen in the sex trades in Seattle, what you're seeing happen for the folks that you have worked with and care about as a direct result of the pandemic and of the poverty created during the pandemic?
Okay, so first let me just back that up. And let me tell you that my views are my views, you guys. They don't reflect anybody else. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, because I'm going to tell you that it's not, I don't think that they've really increased all that much. I think people are paying attention, right? I think now people are paying attention because they're home more. There probably is a slight increase, but I really believe that now people are home playing on their computers. Now they can't go, they couldn't go anywhere. So people are starting to notice things. And at the same time, the young people are being exposed to more and more apps. You guys shut things down. Backpage got shut down and 20 other ones popped up. They haven't had the time to grow like Backpage, but poverty's been here in my community. I mean, it's not new. The pandemic shut people down. It made them huddle in one place, right? So now people are paying attention. Now people are in a panic about, like, with the rent, like homelessness is on the rise. Just life is happening. The people that have been vulnerable to this have most likely always been vulnerable. It's just worse now. The being sit in one place with nothing to do for young people, they're tiddling around on computers, and people are staying home, working from home, and more exploiters are reaching out to people. They're just sitting ducks, if you will. But it's the same people that have been, it's the same populations that have already been in poverty. This poverty is not new. Hundreds of years from my community, that we've been at a disadvantage, but this pandemic has set people down and people are bored. You know what I mean? People have lost their jobs. That's the main thing. People have lost their jobs. They can't pay their rent, and people are exploiting this situation as far as COVID goes. But poverty is not new. I just had to say that. The poverty is not new, and the poverty hasn't increased. The circumstances have changed. Now people are losing their jobs because they can't go to work, or businesses are shutting down because of COVID. And now I know landlords that are exploiting people. They are exploiting them when people are afraid they're going to lose their housing. There is people that have left the life that are going back to the life because they're too scared to count on a program, because they've never been able to trust that a program or a community agency would be able to support them, or they've never had success with that. There's never been enough money. They're always out of funds. And so there are landlords that are exploiting people. There's all kind of little pockets of exploitation going on due to COVID, but the poverty's always been there. I just need to be clear about that.
Right. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. And you certainly, experienced that as I understand it growing up, right? And that poverty influenced your own experience and the reasons that you were exploited. Would you mind talking a little bit about that, about what you saw around you, what your own experiences were here in Seattle?
I'm gonna speak for myself. The very first time that something that I was exploited, I mean, sexually exploited on that level, as far as trafficking goes, being paid for sex. It was, I was hungry and somebody offered me some money, and they offered me very little money, but I was so excited to get it. It makes me sad, right? That I was so excited to get that money. I didn't think about what I had just done. I wasn't embarrassed. I looked at it like an opportunity to eat. I was hungry and was too embarrassed to cause a problem at my home that was already a little uncomfortable, to cause a problem by saying I'm hungry, and they're already struggling there. I didn't have anybody that I could trust to ask for help. And when the opportunity came, I took it. And the only thing I did with that money was go and I bought fish and chips. I'll never forget it. I don't eat them often now because of that. Now, as an adult, sometimes that just the thought of it is triggering for me. But that's all I did. I was happy all that day. I didn't think about how disgusting that was. I didn't think about any of that. I just thought about the fact that I was full. I got some fish and chips and a milkshake. And I was really, really happy.
Right. And so out of that, people may think, okay, so that, prostitution was an empowering experience, right? Which is, I hear that sometimes, that being involved in the sex trade is a feeling of empowerment, because for you, Liletha, that was a time for you to earn your own money and be able to eat. Looking back, was it an empowering experience, or do you wish something different had happened?
Absolutely not. I'm going to say that along with the fact that I was hungry, I would also been in I had a traumatizing childhood with lots of abuse, physical, sexual, emotional abuse, which led me to believe to lose faith in who I was as a person, right? So I was kind of invisible. I had a white mom and a black dad in the 60s, didn't find acceptance. There's just all these different factors that were like a little petri dish for me to be open to being trafficked and think nothing of it, because I never thought I was anything anyway. So I had been being molested so much to get some money for it. I felt empowered because people had been doing it so long for free. I did feel empowered, even though I didn't want anything. I didn't want fancy clothes. I just wanted to eat. And I was by myself, catching the bus by myself. Yeah.
Right. And so looking back now as an adult, it sounds like at the time when you were a kid, you were like, this is a better choice than the choices that are in front of me, right? So it was a logical decision for you as a kid.
It was a
Looking back,
no-brainer.
yeah,
A no-brainer.
right. So looking back now as an adult on the situation that was happening, that happened for you, and sort of what would have, what would have been better? What would you have wished that had happened to you as a kid when you were, 13, 12, 11, 12, 11, 12, 13 years old instead of that?
I mean, I wish I had a safe place to go or somebody to call, without being afraid that I was going to shed bad light on my family, right? Because I could have asked for help. Like there's adult relationships right now, trusted adult relationships, healthy relationships are so crucial for not just children, but adults too, right? Everybody needs a somebody. And sometimes people don't share stuff right away. Sometimes it's just a consistent smile, right? That would change. It could change somebody's life just for them to feel like they have a safe place to land. Somebody they could trust to say, it's embarrassing to say, I'm hungry. It's embarrassing to say, I haven't had a bath for a few days. It's embarrassing to say that I don't have clothes to wear or nowhere to sleep. That's an embarrassing thing. Or my mom doesn't want me, or they put me out. Because that's what a lot of young people deal with, especially the LBG, the whole alphabet.
The LGBTQ plus community.
That population right there, they get put out at 10, 11, 12 years old, oftentimes because they don't line up with their family's religious beliefs, social beliefs, and they are just thrown out to fend for themselves, and people exploit that. Really, really early on, they exploit that. And they just need a safe place to land, someplace safe that they can call and say, or just show up, to have a place to go to show up, where they don't even have to say anything. They could just have a safe place to be, right? Until they're ready to have a conversation. I think that's really, really important.
Right. So Liletha, this starts to intersect with some of the work that Bess does, right? And that we have talked about in the past around you just, for somebody to just smile at you, an employee at a hotel, right? Just to smile at you and say, hey, are you all right? Rather than treating you like, you've maybe felt about yourself, to treat you like you were fully human and you were somebody who, may have needed help. And so can you talk about that, about the role of employees, whether that be at transit stations, at a port, at a hotel, or a ride share? Like, what can employees do to help vulnerable kids who are vulnerable like you were, be able to access safe help, to be able to access the kind of resources that they actually need?
I definitely, a kind word, but I'm going to take it just on a human level, right? Employees, whatever your job is, but just on a human level, that we pay attention to our own biases, right? And how we look at people, our expressions. Vulnerable people look at you and they can tell when you're disgusted. I used to could tell when somebody was looking at me like, you know what I mean? Just to have somebody that just looked at me like I was a person, like they could see me. Whether it was at a restaurant, whether it was the same bus driver, whether it was well, I didn't ride those things back then. We just had buses or walked. But to have the same person just smile at me and acknowledge me, after a while, it develops a relationship. It's unspoken, but they know it's a safe place. Enough for if I could see a young person and I just smiled at them and say, how are you today? Or if they didn't look happy, are you okay? Is there anything I could do for you? Here's my card. They might not use it, but at least they know they could if they needed to, right? Just a human level, being kind, basic, really basic. That is the loudest message you can give to somebody on your job, because you never know what people are going through, what they've gone through. You never know what anybody has gone through before you get to them, and how much your interaction with them can make a difference. A smile, a kind word, an observation without judgment. And that's why I started this conversation talking about our own biases as human beings, because we have them and people are judgmental. And I can't say that I'm out of that realm. I'm human. We do that, but it's important for us to go introspective and look at ourselves and be kind to people, because you never know the difference that a smile can make for a young person's life, to feel like they can trust you to say, yes, I do need help. I remember having people say, are you okay? But they really didn't give a damn what I said. And we probably got family like that. They ask you if you're okay, but they never even wait for the answer. So it doesn't matter what you say. So if you were going somewhere, somebody comes the same place because you give them a healthy serving of food, or your sandwich is a little fat, or whatever reason that young people would go. I used to have long lines when I worked at a deli, and they would come because I made the fattest sandwiches, and smile and have conversation with them. I would have long lines of people. It goes a long way. I would have it if I would have had somebody that was just kind to me. You know what I mean? I would have been able to say, do you think you can tell me where I could go? Is there someplace I can go so I don't have to go back there? Mm-hmm. But if we don't just even have a smile, they're not going to listen to nothing you say. I wouldn't have. I won't now. And I'm 60. So I know. Yeah, to have a young person, you want to get a young people got good BS detectors, right? They know when the smile is fake. They know when you're really concerned about them and when you're not. So that's why I said it's really, really important that we as people just go into ourselves and see what heart are you showing to these young people, because it can really make a difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. It shows, the importance of people being able to, of employees being trained, employees be able to know how to assist people, how to and have you come and say that, just smile, just treat people like they're human, just care. And I think hearing stories like yours, I don't know how people could not, right? I mean,
well, I'll tell you, if we would just on a human level smile, but then have agencies that care enough, like companies that care enough, right, to say these are some things you can look for, and maybe that person needs a little bit more attention. Don't make any judgment, but maybe you should be, extra kind so that you present a situation that they can come ask for help.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I'm going to think, I was not going to tell no white lady nothing I was doing, because I was going to think you were going to put me in jail. You know what I mean? You have to realize what environment these young people are coming from, what their relationship is with the community. You know what I mean? You gotta look at that, what you represent. It's important that you understand. That's why people need to be trained in a uniform way, so we all have the same language, so the same red flags. Different companies, but we all know the same signs, we all know the triggers, we all know different ways, just general ways to be kind and create an environment where we can come and ask for help, and people are willing to ask for help. It's not adding anything to your job. It's just teaching you an extra layer of kindness and opening your eyes about awareness. That's why I love BEST, is because it teaches people that might not ordinarily see things. It's like hidden in plain sight. And when you go through a training or something like that, it opens your eyes. It's like watching a movie. Every time you see it, you'll see something you didn't see. The more information we get, right? The more information we get, we use it. And it's just our brains are amazing. So they just use all the knowledge we get and the information we get. And after a while, it just becomes part of who you are. And even if nobody ever comes to see you or asks you for help, and you're just being kind, you know that if you were, you would be ready. And that's all we can ask people to do, is be ready. We can't say that you're going to have a line of 15 young people tomorrow if you go through this training. No, but if one person life is changed by a smile you gave them and an awareness you had, the world is a better place. Simple things.
Right. Right. And so I'll just give people a referral because we're not doing indicators kind of training here today, but BEST does have free training on our website called Best Basics. If you want to go onto our website, watch that training that'll walk through all the stuff that Liletha is talking about. How does trafficking happen in a business, and what are the indicators of trafficking? So so please feel free to go look at that if you want to learn more. Liletha, I wanted to ask you another question. So when we met, you were providing employment services at the Urban League here in Seattle, and you were part of the inspiration behind BEST starting up our Safe Jobs employment program. Because I'll never forget, I was sitting in the audience one day when you were doing that big presentation over in Bellevue, over on the east side, and I watched you speak, and you said, you know what survivors want the most? They want jobs. Survivors want jobs. And that, again, one of those quotable quotes from Liletha has stuck with me. So I'd love you to talk more about that. Why are jobs so important?
So for one, it's been a historical thing that we will help people, but we won't let them be part of our organizations, right? We're going to help survivors, and we're doing such a great job for survivors, but they're not good enough to sit side by side with me and work in my office. Yes, a lot of the skills, a lot of us don't have the skills, but we have amazing transferable skills. We got skills you don't know about. Our ability to read people, our ability to do inventory, our ability to connect the dots, networking, there's all kind of things. Nobody wants to give survivors a job. Don't let them have a criminal history. I was trying to think, they just had a law that changed. Hold on, let me see what the name of that law was. I think it's called the New Hope Act, right? That just passed. Mm-hmm. That forgives people of survival crimes. It's an opportunity for people to get their criminal history vacated. Between people just giving somebody an option and the courts changing the laws that will help people take criminal history off theirs, you can't tell somebody not to go make no money to feed their family or feed themselves and you don't have anything for them. I mean, what do you really expect them to do? Where are they going to eat? You expect them not to go and sleep with people for money, but they don't have a way to put clothes on their kids' back, and you won't give them a job. I feel like if agencies would just have some little lane where they had a training program to give people a chance when that's been their history, if they could just give them a chance. No, they don't know how to run a copier, but how long will it take you to show her or him or they? All they need is an opportunity. These are bright, driven people that really want to do well for themselves. They want to be successful. They want to contribute to the world. They don't want to feel like they're resorting to this. People don't like that. That's the movies. They have to drink and do all kind of stuff to forget the stuff they do. If they had an opportunity to learn and better themselves and provide an honest living and contribute to community, believe me, that's what we'll do. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for the people that I've had supporting me. I have been out of the life for many, many years and still couldn't get a living wage job because nobody wanted to give me a chance. Thank God for community passageways that finally gave me an opportunity to be in a position of leadership that I am capable of being in, right? Because before I couldn't get a job because of my criminal history from all the years ago when I was involved with trafficking. And I had all these survival crimes, and I was homeless, and I was on drugs. Nobody gave me an opportunity. They said, oh, good job, you're not high anymore, but you can't work for me because you got this going on. Or you don't know how to do this, but nobody wanted to take the time to teach me. How do you expect these people to learn? You've got to do, somebody's got to give. There's got to be somebody that gives. It's not always more bang for the buck or the highest educated person because they're not necessarily the best person for the job. You're never going to find somebody more dedicated than somebody that's been working the streets all day and all night for every little bitty thing they got, for the clothes they got on their back. No, we are driven. We are driven, and to feel accomplished that we've contributed and that we had a good job, you guys would change generations of lives. To give a person that's coming out of trafficking and trying to change your life, you have an opportunity to impact a whole lineage by one act of kindness, giving a survivor a job.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of employers who are willing to do what you are asking for right now, Liletha, right? Is willing to overlook a criminal background check, willing to help give people that just entree and leg up, because that's what people need. They just need the opportunity, right? So I think that's what we've been trying to do in Safe
They
Jobs.
need the opportunity and accessibility, Mar.
Yeah.
Not just the door. Not just that you guys say that you have these opportunities, but they need accessibilities. There's all kind of resources, but the sisters in my community, Black women, they don't have the in this work, Mar. There's not many Black women in leadership in this work. And you guys know I'm always saying this. I'm always really vocal about the women in my community. We represent the people you're trying to help, but we don't represent the people in management for the places that they go. You know what I mean? Even in our own industry. So they need an opportunity. They need an opportunity. They need to be able to see that they have a place to go, that they can elevate, that they can be supervisors, that they can be managers and directors, not just an employee. They just need an opportunity and to be valued. Just give them a chance so you can see how amazing they are, right? Just so they can see how much they're going to contribute and make your business grow. They are the best advertisers in the world, right? Just give it half a chance. Now, I'll tell you.
Yeah, so we have a question from our community here, which I think lends really well into this. So, Liletha, can you talk a little bit about community-based organizations? What kind of services are there in our community for folks, right? That's what you said you really wanted. You wanted access to services. We as an agency are just trying to teach employees to get access for people, like to tell people about these services, to tell people how to get help. Can you talk about what community-based organizations are doing and kind of how they're working together to be able to provide services?
There are a few agencies like Best, Rest, Real Escape from Sex Trade Ops. But there are also some other community organizations, like I said, Community Pathways, that they don't say this is for trafficking victims or this is for survivors, but they have opportunities there. Man, I love this organization so much because they train people. They just see the value in people. It doesn't matter about your criminal history. They will work with that. They just it's a strength-based organization. It's based on relationships, right? So we try to teach people that everybody has value. You might not be good over there, but you're going to be good over here, right? Just so they have the opportunity. And it's a grassroots, man, that place is just so, we got a few agencies, but that particular one, I'm so proud to be a part of. It is amazing. It is giving living wages to people that have had, and they can ask for help. A lot of people that come to community passageways, the way they end up getting employed is because they've gone there for services. And somebody says, hey, you would be good at this over here. I think I've never done that before, but we can train you. They're like, that place is amazing.
Yeah. And I'm excited you're there because we would love to build that partnership between Best and Community Passageway. So I'm excited to do that.
Oh, I can't wait. Yeah. You guys are going to make me look good.
That's hard. You look good all by yourself, Liletha. So so when, in follow up to that question, I just wanted to give a couple of things around, I saw the question that popped up on the screen around, are we doing this work in silos? And I think we are really trying as a community to work together. So there's a Bridge Collaborative that's to serve youth. There is an Adult Survivor Collaborative, which has the YWCA and the Aurora Commons and Rest and Organization for Prostitution Survivors kind of working together. I think we've got more work to do so that we're not doing it in silos. We got to build out those relationships with organizations like Community Passageways. And there's, any movement's going to have a little bit of siloing, but I think we're really trying to build out those relationships. I know at Best we are, and that's why our Safe Jobs program we're not recreating the wheel. We just went to the service providers and we said, all right, you said you need jobs. What do you need us to do? How can we help? And they said, we need you to bring businesses to the table. And so we went out and did it. And then we just have all these agencies that are able to funnel people into those jobs and into those employers that we've been able to find. And I'm seeing that there's another question here. So I want to make sure we can answer. So the question here is, are adults trafficked?
Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. There's a lot of children that are trafficked and they're trafficked in plain sight, but there's a lot of adults trafficked. It's not always, there are pimps. There are pimps. There are circumstances. Adults, yes, adults in a nutshell. Yes, adults can be trafficked and are trafficked every day.
Right.
And they're not willing participants.
Right.
This is not a glamorous lifestyle. There are some that think they are making a choice to do it, but the truth of the matter is that they are not.
Right.
They're not.
Right. Right. And it really is that. It's not necessarily that people need to be moved from one place to another. It really is that force, fraud, and coercion that makes trafficking, right? So if people are forced to work in the sex trades, if they're forced to work in any employment situation, that under federal law is trafficking. So
I mean, they can be forced to be working, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have about just a couple more minutes. I just wanted to ask you, Liletha, if you have one thing left that you want to say that you didn't get to say yet, what would it be?
I would say that when you guys back on jobs, Mar. Okay. So this is what I want you to consider when you're about to hire somebody. You might not even know, you might just suspect, because nobody's going to come and say, hi, I'm a prostitute, I'm trying to leave, right? I mean, I might have, but most people wouldn't. I want you to know that when you take that chance, this person has a case manager. We have all kind of programs that support that person to help them be a better employee. You are not working with that person by yourself. By the time they get to you, they're going to have a community of resources and support. They're going to be getting training and trying to be better on their own. That's one thing I can say about our collaborative here in Seattle, is that we really do try to wrap love around these young people, old people too. But you're not just getting a person or taking a chance. It's a great investment. It's like you're getting 10 people for one paycheck, right? Because you're getting all these supportive services around that person. You're not the only person. You're just the one that's giving them a chance to get a paycheck. And it's going to enhance your business. You're going to realize that, man, I should have been doing this sooner. We're great employees. You get to watch somebody's life transform, and you're changing a generation of people. All we want is a chance.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And yes. And so I just, if folks, I saw another question popped up around the signs of trafficking for adults, and just want to let you know, if you just joined, we have a free training online at our website called Best Basics, which will walk you through how does trafficking happen, what is it, and what are the signs, and what do you do if you see it. So you are welcome to go on to bestalliance.org/best-basics if you want to watch that training. And I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It was fantastic, especially Liletha.
Thank you.
To have you. You always move me and teach me. So thank you for being my teacher once again, and for being a teacher for so many other people who were able to be on this. And our goal with these virtual lunch and learns is really to continue this conversation around ending exploitation. And so we will keep doing these. So please, be on the lookout for them. We want to do one soon on LGBTQ folks and the impact that Liletha just brought up earlier. So digging a little bit deeper into how is this impacting folks, who have those identities. And so be on the lookout. And also we are currently running our Give Big campaign. This is the only time of year that we have a large matching pool where we can double and triple gifts. So please consider giving through our Give Big campaign. You can just go onto our website and donate there. And your impact will be to help do the work that Liletha was saying needs to be done. It'll be to help people get access to services, because employees at the front lines can just give a smile and say, hey, do you need help? Can I get you something? Can I help you in some way? And second, it'll help people to rebuild their lives, because our hope is that people will be able to get into new employment. And if you're an employer and you're out there watching, and you're interested in any of these programs, please don't hesitate to get in touch with me or with Brooke, who's running this whole program behind the scenes. So please reach out, or if you want to chat with Liletha, reach out to us, and we can help make that connection. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here today. Thank you, Liletha, and look forward to our next conversations around this really important issue. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Bye.